Hey guys, it's Brad. Well, we're on a nice drive this morning, a cold December morning, going to the town of Montelaterone. And we're in southwestern Tuscany, an area I haven't taken you guys to very often. We're about 50 minutes from Grosseto, which is where you'd find a large regional hospital with a trauma center. A lot of times, if you're severely injured or severely sick, that's where they're going to take you. And we're going to go look at this little village, Montelaterone, which is part of a much larger area. And we're going to go try to find the street that this little house is on. It's less than 50,000 euros and more than 1,000 square feet, or about 100 square meters. So let's get up there and see what we can find. And we're going to take a tour around the town, and then we're going to take a tour around a much bigger town that's close by. And I'm going to try to give you guys an idea of what it's like to live in these small villages in Tuscany where you can find a nice, good-sized house for under 50,000 euros. All right, let's go. Hey guys, welcome to Arcidosso. So Arcidosso is a town of a little over 4,000 people. So it'll have most services. Your post office right on the corner, hardware store, there's restaurants, coffee shops. There's a big coop. It is not pronounced coop. I have asked many of my Italian friends. It is pronounced coop, just like cappuccino. Oh, coop. There's a big coop here, and within about 5 minutes, you have 3 or 4 different types of grocery stores. It's almost Christmas time, in case you're watching this in July, and it's pretty cold. We're up at about 2,200 feet elevation, about 680 meters, and it is a crisp day. So I just wanted to show you guys what a nice service town looks like. This is a workaday town. What a nice service town looks like in a town that's just a few minutes away from a town like Montelaterone. Now, we're only also about 4 or 5 minutes away from Casteldepiano, a bigger town even yet than Arcidosso. That town also has all sorts of different services, even more retail stores, and it has a 24-hour emergency room and smaller hospital than what you would find in Grosseto. And I think it's important to note here that while Montelaterone does have bus service, there's only 3 buses a day that go there. So really that's a town that you would just basically have to have a car in if you wanted to be safe and convenient. So we're coming off the main state highway. We're only about 5 minutes away from Arcidosso, and we're going to be heading up the hill into Montelaterone. You can see it up there on top. There's not much up there. There's one restaurant that's about 1 kilometer from the town center, but that's about it. It's important to remember that you have no services up here other than utilities, water, fire, police, ambulance. Those, of course, are all available up in this town. But if you want a cup of coffee or to buy some groceries, you're going to have to travel. Hey guys, welcome to Montelaterone. We're only about 4-5 minutes away from Casteldepiano, where I started this video. This is just a neighborhood. That's all it is. There's a few workshops here. I don't see any bars. There's no restaurants that I see. I'm sure there's some within a couple miles, couple kilometers of here. But really, this is just a bedroom community, a suburb, if you will, of Casteldepiano. That's where you would go to do all your shopping and eating out, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get inside and take a look at this listing and see what we can get here for under 50,000 euros in this small bedroom community in the southwest part of Tuscany. So here's an overview of the village. We're only about 5 to 6 minutes away from Arcidosso, which we've already seen. One thing I always try to pay attention to, whether I'm actually in the village or just looking online, is live plants, because I feel live plants equal live people. And there's all sorts of different potted plants here. The village looks really well kept. The streets are clean. There's not a lot of weeds coming up, at least here. There's apparently some seating there. And you see the live plants around. Now, as you go farther up the hill on the right side, you can see a little bit more of the weeds coming out through the street. Overall, the front of the building that's for sale looks pretty nice. It's pretty clean. I mean, it can always use a paint job, but that's just kind of the look here. Here's a better look at it. It looks like a commercial door. It doesn't look brand new, but it looks like it's in functional shape. And now that we're inside, the first thing that strikes me is it looks to my eye like a lot of the plumbing and electrical is exposed, not run within the walls. When we zoom in here on the ceiling, on the transition between the kitchen and the living room, you can readily see it's just a wire cable that's been tacked up to the ceiling. And had you noticed that the faucet and the water controls inside the kitchen sink is actually a shower head, and you can see where they took the water line and tied it in knots so it wouldn't be so long hanging in the sink. That tells me things have been pretty well jury-rigged throughout this apartment. And none of that's a real deal killer, but you want to be eyes wide open when you go into a place like this. Now, on the plus side, that kitchen and living room looks like it's very ample. And it seems like they spent some decent money on the furniture. At least it's stylish, and there's a dishwasher. So it's kind of a dichotomy. The place is a little jury-rigged, but they seem to have really taken care to make it into a nice home. And if you zoom in on that photo, you can see the at least half-century-old stove that's still vented out of the room. You'll have to decide if that's something that's super cool and antique or something you need to change out. I think you have to make the decision with this place. Is it a flop house that you come to and you can bring 2 sets of friends, there's 3 bedrooms, and you can use this and not worry too much about the condition? Or is this going to be your permanent home where you're going to be living 365 days a year and you want to spend 20 or 30,000 euros getting these different things fixed up and brought up to the current century? So now we're up to the first floor, or in America this would be the second floor. So we have the ground floor with the kitchen and living room, and then this bedroom is on the first floor. Pretty ample size because that's a queen bed and a twin, so you could easily fit a king. Now, the wall is something I get comments on a lot of times. People say, well, if it's all stone, I would take off all the plaster and have exposed stone. Just realize that is a very expensive and time-consuming thing to do. Now, this angle shows the ceiling really well, and there doesn't seem to be any water stains in this room, so that gives me hope that the place is pretty watertight. The door needs to be refinished, but the floor looks like it's in good shape. You can see more of the exposed electrical conduit in this room, so I'm guessing that that's throughout the house. Hopefully in another room we'll get a better look at the window to see what kind of condition they're in. And I think this room does just that. Nice bed, floor's in good shape, stone baseboards, that's all good. But the window looks like it may be at the end of its useful life. It is nice that there's a pull-down screen that you can just barely make out. The shutters will probably need to be refinished. The paint's missing above the window, so I'm not sure if there's a little water issue there. But the windows look a little bit old. But the ceiling looks tight. There's no water stains in the corners, so I think that, again, the roof and the water situation is probably not dire. When you're coming to Montepulciano in southern Tuscany, why not stay with somebody you know? Our 17th century apartments fit between 1 and 10 guests and are the highest rated apartments in the city. With prices starting at just 100 euros per night, we look forward to seeing you at Tuscan Palace. Guys, there's a reason why you need to get really good at looking at what photos are provided and discerning as much information as you can. And it's this: when you're looking at homes that are 30, 40, 50,000 euros, you're not going to find an agent that's going to take 3 or 4 days out of their life and come over and show you a dozen or 15 different properties for sale so that maybe they can make 3,000 euros sometime in the future. You need to be able to narrow it down to a couple very good choices and then go see those properties and pick one. I think they did a good job on this bathroom. I like the exposed stonework. The little tub, that's kind of funky. I would change that if possible. The sink is nice. The hot water heater looks like it's relatively new. The toilet and bidet are kind of funny color choices, but again, you need to decide how much money do you want to put into a renovation and what can you just live with, depending on how you're going to use this house. Now, going through that doorway, you come into a bonus room. Could be another bedroom, could be an office, whatever you want to make it into. There is like a little bit of damage in the ceiling around the window, so that's something you need to look into. And this is just a street view that shows the entrance into the quote-unquote cantina. I think you'd be hard put to get a car in there. But there does seem to be a lot of space inside once you get all this junk cleaned out. Looks like construction material, all sorts of stuff piled up in here. But I think once you had it cleaned out, you'd have a nice place for storage. Well, everybody, that's about it for this 1,000 square foot, 49,000 euro Tuscan home. I hope you enjoyed this tour. I like doing these listing tours from time to time because it allows me to expose you guys to new towns all over Italy. And it also allows me to talk very frankly about the condition of the house and other things that aren't necessarily about this house, which I couldn't do if I was doing a tour with one of our agent friends for a property that they're representing. As always, if you have any questions, just write me at bradsworld.it, and I look forward to seeing you guys again soon on Brad's World. Ciao.